So let's go back to Matt Larkin of Daily Faceoff, and let's grade up some of these big ones. And Matt, we got to start with the number one name on the board. Steven Stamkos was a free agent for all of 4 minutes, and then he signs in Nashville. What is your grade on the 4x8 that Stammer gets in Nashville?
Oh, this is really exciting, Tyler. I'm giving this one an A. I don't think that term is totally prohibitive, 4 years, and it's exciting for the Predators. It's funny. I was with Roman Josi last week doing a story talking to him about how Barry Trotz has changed the culture and made this team really competitive. And this just sort of is a continuation of the behavior we've seen from Trotz since he came on as GM. He's shooting his shot, man, and I really like it. We'll get to the Shea deal, which is a little maybe flying too close to the sun, but Steven Stamkos for 4 years, obviously going to bring a big locker room presence, Stanley Cup winner, future Hall of Famer. Nashville's going for it, baby. I love it.
Double jeopardy. Let's get to both those Nashville signings. Jonathan Marchessault, 5x5.5. And you have Brady Shea, terms not official quite yet. I don't see him on the cap friendly. But maybe I think Frank might have had him earlier as well.
Yeah, Brady Shea is 7 times 7.
Oh, yes, 7x7. Thank you, Frank. What do you make of these two?
Okay, Jonathan Marchessault, of course, Conn Smythe Trophy winner. He's a bulldog out there for a small player. And again, he's another guy who I think really fits this team's culture. I do like the signing. It is worth noting that Marchessault, he's a late bloomer. He's a guy who I believe is 33 years old already. So you have to keep track of how old he's going to be. I think he'll be 38 when that deal is done. So for me, it's a B+. Love him as a player, but I don't know how well that's going to age. And Brady Shea, he's someone that's interesting to me. He's mobile for a big guy. 7 years, that's a lot of term at $7 million for a player who also, late bloomer, one of the better goal-scoring defensemen in the league, especially at 5-on-5, but sort of breaking out relatively late in his career, late 20s, and you're paying him till he's 37. That's kind of star money or borderline star money. I feel like he's better as a middle pair defenseman, and he was very insulated in Carolina, playing behind maybe the best shutdown defenseman in the league in Jacob Slavin. So I don't know if maybe Shea's going to be a little exposed on that deal. That's why it's a C+ for me, that one.
Let's go out to Boston, another double dip out in Beantown. Lindholm and Zadorov both going from Vancouver, now out to Boston. The Lindholm one felt like the worst kept secret for the last 3 months. It always was like, hey, he's a great fit out in Boston. They need center help. His brother's obviously there, but how do you grade out those two?
I'm going to back up Elias Lindholm on this one because we know it was a disaster from the moment he was traded to Vancouver pretty much. But I'm still giving the signing a B. I think we have to look at the entire body of work. And for much of his career, he's been one of the better two-way centers in the league. I think he really fits Boston's game in that sense. And you could argue that relative to what we thought he might have cost a year ago, this is somewhat of a discount. I think he finds his game in Boston. He's going to be settled. He's going to be putting his roots in there long-term. He's going to get back to being a player who you can pretty much move all over the lineup. He can kill penalties. He can go on the power play. He can be a first-line center in a pinch. He can be a second-line center. So for me, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's still a lot of money, but it's a B for me. Nikita Zadorov, I'm not as high on this one. I think he's dining out a little bit on that mini offensive explosion we saw in the playoffs. If you look at, it's almost the reverse of what I'm saying with Lindholm. The majority of Zadorov's career, offense has sort of been a bonus. It's not really something you can rely on him year to year. And when you're getting to that AAV, that much money, you sort of are pricing in offense. It's a C+ for me. He's a mean customer out there, but again, I don't know if his body is built to age that well over the course of the contract. He's a big guy, plays a very rugged style, of course. So I think it's just a so-so signing for the Bruins.
All right, and last one, it broke a little bit before free agency officially opened, but Brandon Montour in Seattle, 7x7.14. Frank and I had joked he was one of the guys on the list, he lost some money in the playoffs. He clearly did not lose any money from his playoff performance.
He did not, and this one is really interesting to me. I apologize for the frog in my throat that just jumped in there. Brandon Montour, so again, big case of a late bloomer, 16-goal and 73-point season in 2022-23. And this is a guy who I think most people, if you asked how old he was, they wouldn't realize that he's 30 years old already. He had shoulder surgery last summer, and obviously that silenced him for part of this season. So I don't know. I feel like you're paying him a little bit for what he's done and not what he's going to do. Seattle already has Vince Dunn as someone who can quarterback the power play. I know they don't play the same side, but there's a little bit of a skill redundancy there. And I see Montour is kind of taking the money and running here as someone who has the Stanley Cup ring. I don't know if that's going to be a particularly competitive franchise for a while in Seattle. And for the Kraken, I almost feel like making the playoffs in their second season, it messed up their trajectory. They'd be better off slowing things down and building up that pipeline. I don't love this deal for them. He's still going to be a pretty good player in the short term, so it's a C+.
An A for Steven Stamkos. A few C pluses when it comes to the three defensemen that we've seen go off the board. Lindholm gets a B. Marchessault gets a B+ for his ticket in Nashville. Matt Larkin, appreciate you popping on once again. We'll chat with you in probably about 45 minutes when 30 more signings have rolled in.
Oh my God, yes, I hope so.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you're going to want to hit the subscribe button to not miss any of our content, from daily live shows with Frank Saravalli to analysis from former NHLers to exclusive interviews with some of the biggest names in the hockey world on Frankly Speaking. You're going to want to hit that subscribe button and stay up to date with everything going on in the hockey world.